My girlfriend's son falsely accused me of SA, making me lose my job, my friends, my life. Now my girlfriend is begging me to come back after the truth was discovered. So I know that's a hell of a title, but it's been a hell of a situation. And I know a friend gets great advice on here, so I've decided to see if I can get the same. Basically, we had been together for over a year and a half, and we were going great. She has a son from a previous relationship who I've not only met, but was fond of. I wouldn't say stepdad material by any means, but we had a little friendship going on. The biological dad is in and out of prison and the kid's life, so I'm the only guy like that he's had in his life that fulfills any real decent male role model figure. Me and her were even talking about living together too. Then a few weeks ago, I got a visit from the police and they arrest me for SAing her son. I'd been bailed on condition I wouldn't go near them, and as a result, I'd been placed on gardening leave at work. Then last week, I got a letter saying the case had been dropped, and I don't any longer have to attend my next bail hearing. That was it. So I rang the policeman in charge of the investigation, and at the time, he said he couldn't comment too much as there was still an active investigation, but basically, her son confessed that he had made it up, and I'm innocent. To say I was mad, shocked, confused was an understatement, and basically a couple of days later, I'd had one drink too many and decided to ring her to confront her. She answered all apologetic and explained that this little effing nephew of hers, 12M, I've always hated this kid ever since I met him. He's so disrespectful and always getting into trouble at school and into fights. Apparently, he did it to her son at this party they went to a few days before I was arrested. And when her son confessed someone had touched him, he panicked and said it was me instead of his cousin. I guess him being questioned by the police scared him, so he had told the truth. And I was so disgusted that I just hung up on her, deleted my social media too so I don't have to have anything to do with them. She's been ringing me since, texting me, emailing me, and is collectively saying even though she's so sorry that she put me through all of this, she can't be too sorry, as she wanted to protect her son. But she really wants us to get back to where we were again. And her son misses me too and has been crying, saying that he's hurt me. She said this can make us stronger and we can have a good future together. I've not answered her at all. I've got nothing to say. I'm thinking of ghosting her. I can't lie and say I don't have love for her or for her son, but if I'm honest, I'm way too hurt. I'd always know she once thought I did something so unspeakable to her son, and I'll also never be able to forget that his lies, no matter the reason, could have wrecked my life. And I'd never want the risk of running into her nephew again. I never want anything to do with him again. So, what should I do, Reddit? Then, in the comments section, one user said, OP, her son was actually SA'd. She could probably see on him the upset. That much was true. She probably did have doubt it was you, but she did do the right thing by letting the police handle it. If you want to come back from this, you can. Couples counseling, I feel like the sub always says that, or at least take it slow for a while. But it's okay if you don't want to. But do have a bit of compassion. Her son was actually SA'd and was scared. He didn't make it up out of spite, but panicked knowing blaming a family member would cause all kinds of problems. Maybe go and meet them once or write the kid a letter. What I'm thinking here is that on top of everything, the kid is going to have guilt about splitting you guys up. Tell him your story about what happened to him and you know he was scared. That you don't blame him for what's happened, but that you need a fresh start. So, I get where you're coming from with showing compassion. I really do, but at the same time, think about what has happened to me. Police came into my office, arrested me, handcuffed me, and led me out in front of my colleagues and forced me into a police car. I spent 12 hours in a police cell, interviewed multiple times, and bailed on the provision I don't contact her or her son. I get put on garden leave at work with the likelihood I get sacked for damaging the company reputation, and will likely struggle to find a job in my field again. My colleagues have also started taking me off of social media and ghosting me. I'm not sleeping, losing weight, having anxiety attacks frequently. I wish I could have compassion and want to see them again, but at the same time, I'm too hurt. Then user 2 commented and said, I don't think it's very kind to ghost them. The kid is 7 and traumatized. You should at least forgive him. You seem angry at him for lying, but he's just a child. You can't hold him to the same standard as an adult. You don't have to be with this woman or that family, but please at least make sure the kid is okay. Keep enough contact to make amends with him for his sake. Yeah, but it's not just a case of him lying, is it? If you read my comments, I'm likely losing my job and career in my field, and as a result, my home, lifestyle, and livelihood. I've lost friends and I'm having panic attacks and hardly sleep anymore, and I've lost a great relationship with the woman I could have happily married, all because he told her that I SA'd him. Even if I could forgive him, and I'm not saying I could never forget it. Then OP elaborates on possibly telling his work that the charges were dropped and said, So, in my work's eyes, it doesn't matter. I've got a big meeting with my manager and regional manager, HR, etc. on Monday to determine if I have a job or not. Even if I'm in the clear, their argument is that our job is a public job where we do lots in the community. And if they keep me on board, it could damage their reputation by having me work there, even if I'm legally innocent, and their reputation comes first. And then finally, OP replies to one commenter and said, "So, I've been wanting to reply to your post meaningly for hours because you said things in a good way, without calling me a monster or a horrible person like a lot of others started to. Now you see, a lot of what you said is cutting me deeply at the moment. I've mentioned in another post I sadly can't have biological kids of my own, so I'd resigned myself to the fact that I would never have a deep and meaningful relationship with a child. But then he and his mom came along and I started to really bond with him, and he me. I wasn't his stepfather by any means, but I did really feel good things towards him and would have gladly took that role on. But then this happened to me, and it's cut me to the core, honestly. Honestly, it's affected me just as badly as the professional aspect has. A lot of people have said that he lacks the intellectual capacity for reason that an adult has. And I get that in my rational brain, but my emotional side isn't so quick to forgive yet. As many times as I say to myself I would have been open to make contact and say I forgive him, the anger and resentment of what's happened to me with my arrest, health issues, relationship fading away, and what's going to happen to me as far as my career and my money in the future stops me from being able to do that in an honest way. I don't even think I could lie and do it at this stage. I know I just wouldn't be able to. I can't say I'll always be this way. Maybe some months or years down the line I could, but I'm not able to at this moment. Other people have commented on here as well and have said I need to do it ASAP as it'll affect his development, but they're not the ones in this situation. And they'll say, how else could she respond? And again, I get that in my rational, sober mind, but the emotional hurt me says regardless, her actions ruined my life. And then finally, you said to me, whatever you choose, forgive the little man and give his broken and tormented heart and mind some peace. And well, I think I could do only that when I have found peace myself. Yes, someone has pointed out I have a fully developed near 40-year-old guy's brain, but what's happened to me will affect me for the rest of my life. If I ever get into a relationship again, I wouldn't want to get with someone with kids anymore because I wouldn't be able to trust them. New update. Do I have any way of fighting what seems like an up-and-coming dismissal? Hi everybody, I'm in England. So basically, I was recently arrested for being accused of SA of my girlfriend's son. Subsequently, all charges against me have been dropped when I received a letter from the police confirming that the charges have been dropped and I don't have to go back for any bail hearings. As I have discovered unofficially since, her son admitted it was another family member who assaulted him. At the start, when I was first arrested, I was put on gardening leave at work, and I've been there for just over 5 years. Once I received the letter, I gave it to my employer and my boss who scheduled a meeting for this Monday with them, regional managers, and HR to determine if I still have a job. Basically, their argument is that even though I am no longer facing any charges, my accusation/leave had been leaked out online, and they say that it may hurt their reputation having me as an employee. And I no longer have the support of my colleagues, which they need to consider it if it's going to affect the business long term. As it is, several colleagues have removed me from social media. In recent days, I've come off anyway, but this was before, and they have been ghosting me socially. So, do I have any recourse? I really don't want to lose my job. My money's really good and I have a lot of perks, company car, phone allowance, etc. And not only that, I've worked really hard to get where I am. If I lose my job, there's a really good chance eventually I wouldn't be able to afford my mortgage, and I'd have to sell my house. If I do lose my job, I have no idea what sort of reference I would get and would hate to start again from scratch elsewhere or a job at minimum wage. So, what can I do? Update number 2. I want to first off thank you all for your advice, well wishes, and criticism. And this is an update on 2 fronts. Firstly, I met up with my girlfriend. She rang me and I answered and asked if we could meet Sunday night. Normally, I'd not answer, but because she had it from a withheld number and I was pissed, I said, yeah, alright. When she came around, I was all set to be guns blazing and to tell her to F off. But when I saw her, I felt all emotional and broke down. She did too. We hugged really well and she kept on saying how awful I looked and how much weight I had lost. She apologized and kept apologizing profusely. She said she had to report me on the basis that her son looked so in distress and she couldn't not report it as a mother. But she said she knew in hindsight I wouldn't be capable of what he said I did. And she hasn't been sleeping or thinking straight of what I could be going through. Apparently, once her son admitted to the police it wasn't me and it was his cousin, the police got a confirmation out of her nephew and he said he was S8 himself. So he was only doing what happened to him. I couldn't try and be all nice and understanding, and I said I couldn't give an F about the nephew. and she seemed quite stunned by this, but as she could see, I was really distressed and she didn't argue the point. Basically, she said she wanted to know where we go from here, and that she loved me so much and that she wanted to know if I could move on from it. She also had a letter from her son. Basically, he's been really poorly and he was so upset about what he said I did and asked if I would read it. And I don't know what happened next at this point, but I got really angry. I said I couldn't read his letter, and then she got all pissed at me and said that he's only a kid and he's been struggling so much. Did our relationship mean so little to me? And I felt so effing blindsided and said that it wasn't my fault he accused me of being a child predator. And after a lot of arguing, raised voices and hurt feelings, I said I'd take the letter but couldn't promise I'd want to reply. I mean, his accusation is going to likely ruin my career. And she said she was done at this point, but stressed how much she loved me and asked if I could ever forgive them. I said I couldn't promise, and she also felt awful that I was likely losing my job the next day. We hugged it out, kissed, and left it there. Then onto the subject of my work. It's bittersweet. I arrived there for my meeting, and briefly seeing my colleagues, they were treating me like crap. One woman who's been like my work mom and mentor was looking down her nose instantly. I tried to talk to her, and she just walked off mid-conversation. Several others were all looking at me as if I'm the worst human being ever. When I got into the meeting, it looked as if I was just going to be sacked and that was it, but I'm a pretty good negotiator, and I managed to beat them back to being not to blame at all. Basically, we argued a deal where I resign, but they agree to give me a great reference. They also pay me in full for September, October, and give me a 1,000-pound car bonus so I can buy myself a car. And I'm due to go in and formally accept this on Thursday. It's horrible though, because I've had to resign after 5 years of hard work and training and cut ties with a place where I really gave it my all and I felt like I had a future. All because I've done nothing wrong. Update number 3. So in response to my last post, I basically decided I wasn't going to take it lying down and accept their proposal. I messaged my MD ahead of time and told him I thought he should be there in the meeting. Me and him always got on well. And long story short, I told him I was taking legal advice and was looking at my local employment law specialist, and he claimed the regional bosses and HR kept him in the dark. Funny, isn't it? And he said he was going to be in the meeting. When we got there, he was extremely apologetic and said he was going to deal with them personally, and they all looked really sheepish. And basically, we worked out a deal. As a settlement, a full 5 months' salary on top of my current month 3,000-pound car settlement, and my usual 5% bonus of my salary. And they will write me a glowing personal reference. Honestly, I was going to look into prosecuting them, but I just wanted to be over, so I accepted. And hopefully I can move on professionally. Onto the subject of my now ex, I decided to read the little boy's letter. It was more of a note, but basically it said, "Dear OP, I'm sorry, I love you, you're my best friend," or something like that. If I was a cold person, I wouldn't feel bad, but I'm not at all. And I hadn't drank for a couple of days, so I sent him a note in the post. Basically, I said in it that I was sorry for what happened to him, and I hope he could forgive himself in time. And also, I hoped life would be kind to him. I also rang my now ex and said I wanted a clean break, and I was ending it. She was really crying and said she was sorry. I said I forgave her, and acknowledged she did what she had to, and she said she truly loved me and would have carried on with me if I wanted to. And then I ended it there. After that, my cousin, who I looked at staying with, is on holiday. So I've booked 3 weeks holiday in Iverness for Monday, and I'm going camping. Hopefully, I can make a clean break. Final update. So, the posts I made still get so many people messaging me asking what's happened that I thought I would post an actual update. I was going to just block her and go away, but a commenter on my last post said she may misconstrue that me taking time away meant only a temporary break from her, and I was leaving the door open to reconcile, which I didn't want to do. Despite all that went on, I still care for her and didn't want her to suffer. So I went around to her house to tell her in person, and I basically said I needed to end it and cut all contact indefinitely because of everything that's gone on, and that I could forgive them but never forget what they did. She apologized again and said she still loves me and asked if I still loved them. I said no, and then she went hysterical, so I left. I blocked her on everything, deleted my social media, and went on my holiday to Scotland. I was only supposed to be there for 3 weeks, but I stayed nearly 4 and only got back yesterday. My friend who knows us spoke to me today and said my ex has been crap-talking me, saying on her Facebook especially that I've abandoned her and her son, etc. But I don't care. I'm looking to move away and start afresh, so I don't care at this stage. So, I remember reading this story before, but I believe this last update was new, and a lot of the commenters that we read last time were kind of ignoring the fact that OP was also going through something. Yes, the kid has stuff going on. Yes, this can affect the kid's development, but also OP's gonna lose the job, the car, the house, the whip, all of that. If you want OP to cross over to the other side and apologize to the kid, maybe, possibly, well, then you need to meet OP where he currently is at Griefville City and, Distress Avenue, and acknowledge what he's going through and validate what he's going through and not gloss over it as a good portion of people seemed to do last time. There's 2 victims in this story. 3, really, but OP did not get the love and support that I felt like he should have gotten last time. But you know what? He's loving and supporting himself in Scotland, and I respect that. European high five. But anyway, guys, I don't know what a European high five is. But anyway, guys, we are at the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching, commenting. Have a really good day, and bye-bye!